So this will be kind of like the part one of our level design lab. And let me know if you guys have questions, if you want me to go over anything. So for creating our level, so far we've just been creating like little scenes and kind of adding components into those scenes. This week we're not going to add anything new. We're not going to add any art or new components. We're just going to start building a level out of those components that we've created. So you can add new components if you want to, but you don't need to for this bit. So I'm going to open up Godot and just get my new level started. So I'm going to click on my game and click edit. And one of the things I'm going to go over is merging components from different scenes. So that's going to help us kind of reuse stuff that we've already created. So in my scenes folder, I have like these kind of like test scenes that I've created, but none of these are really full levels. I was just kind of demonstrating different stuff here. So now that we're going to create some real levels, let's create a new folder just to hold our levels so we can have it nice and organized. So in my file system, I'm going to go down here to scenes and right click and make a new folder and call this levels. And then I'm going to create a new level 1. So I'm going to go up to my 2D view and create a new 2D scene. So I'm just going to click on 2D scene here. And I'll rename this level 1. And then I'm going to save. I'm going to hit Control S. And I'm going to put this in my scenes folder, in my levels folder, and say this is level 1. So now I can actually like merge other components in, so I don't always have to start from scratch. So you can create stuff from scratch, or what I like to do is just merge components that I've already created. So I've got my level 1 here, and I want to merge stuff from my various other levels. So I'm going to work on a platformer level. Some of you guys might be doing like RPG style games where you're not using the physics stuff, and that's fine. You can do that for this assignment. But I'm going to use the platformer version of the level. So in my level 1, I'm just going to add in some components from my previous levels. So for example, I may add in my player so that rather than recreating the player from scratch, I can right click on the level 1 and click merge from scene. And then I can choose the player from one of my example scenes. So my background scene is probably the closest to what I want to use. So if I double click on the background scene, now we'll see all of the nodes that make up that background scene. And I can import any of the nodes from here that I want to appear in my new scene. So I'll probably add a lot of this stuff, but let's just start with the player. So there's my player. I'm going to add them in. And there they are, and the camera is attached to them. So the camera is not a default part of the player generally, but in my example level, I added the camera to the player. So if you end up adding a player and they don't have a camera, you're going to have to add a camera and set the settings and stuff like that. So to avoid that, I can just bring my player over from the example scene. And if I click on the player, you can see it has the same values that I set in the example scene. If I play this scene, it's probably not going to work because my player is just going to fall through the bottom. So I need some platforms and stuff, but I can see that's at least starting to work. So I might want to add some other stuff in here. So I'm going to go back to merge from scene. So again, I'm just going to click on my main level node and then right click and go to merge from scene. And I'm going to choose my background scene again. So I do want to have the background. So let's go ahead and add the background. And then I can also add multiple stuff. So I can click the background, and let's say I want my tiles. I can click, hold shift and click tile map 2 and click OK. Although I'm not sure I want tile map 2. I think I only want tile map 1. So let's see, if I hold control, yeah, if I hold control, then I can select both of those. And so now you can see my background is just here. I don't have to set it up. I don't have to go back through the process of, adding the sprites and changing the motion and all of that stuff. So I'm just going to put my background up here. and move my tile map above the player as well. And oh, I got the wrong tile map, so that's okay. I'm just going to delete it from here and then merge the tile map I want. So I'm going to merge and grab tile map 2 here. And then we can see the tiles from my old scene, so that comes in with it, but I might not necessarily want those. I can go over to the tile map and just erase. So I can hold Control Shift and drag, whoops. And so I'll hold Control Shift and right click and drag just to erase everything. So I've cleared my tile map. And now I can begin to design again. Notice that my tiles match the grids already, so that might not happen automatically. You may need to look at the cell for the tile and match that. So the cell is 64 by 64. And then if I go up in here and go to configure snap, this is actually 8 by 8, but it looks like it's working fine. So I'm not going to change that. Oh, that's because I didn't have the grid on. So let's turn the grid on. And so now I'm going to want to change this a little bit. Let's do 16 by 16. Okay, so it doesn't really matter, but it's nice to have it match close in size. So now we have a little place for my player to start. And so we can hit play. And there we go. So now I have a tile map, I have a background, I have my player, and I can start to add other components. So I might want to add in like scenery and different stuff like that. But before I do that, I'm going to start to want to think through my principles and apply those as I design my game. So, I could just say games usually have like a platform here and a platform here and blah, blah, blah. But if I just do it that way, I'm gonna end up creating a level that doesn't have like a focus. It doesn't have like a specific design for how it's supposed to go. So what I want to do instead is think through all the decisions I'm making and use my principles and techniques to make good choices about what to add into the level. So I'm going to stop here and get started with those principles and techniques on Thursday. But I encourage you guys to start working on your own level designs and trying and seeing what you can create. And I'll go over more on this on Thursday. I'll add components to this level following the various guides. And yeah, that's how we'll get started with our levels. So let me stop recording this bit.